How's it going, guys, and welcome to the Foot and Fist Sports Network. Today we're going to be talking about UFC 203, which was a very interesting card in a lot of different ways. It was actually pretty damn bizarre. They had the CM Punk versus Mickey Gall fight, which was CM Punk's MMA debut, which was also his UFC debut. We had the bizarre fight between Fabricio Werdum and Travis Browne, which ended in a scuffle between Werdum and Travis Browne's coach, Edmond Tarverdyan. It was just a very strange event in general, but you can't really complain because it was actually pretty good. So let's go ahead and break down where the biggest stars of the night should go from here. Starting off with Stipe Miocic. Now, the heavyweight champion has a very, very tough opponent in store for him. Cain Velasquez is the man that everybody wants to see him fight. Velasquez is regarded as the very best heavyweight of all time, and a win over him would definitely put Miocic in the running for that very title. These two guys are killers, so expect their fight to be even better than Miocic versus Alistair Overeem. Considering how much success the UFC had in Cleveland and the fact that Ariel Helwani even called it the loudest arena he's ever heard, it wouldn't be surprising at all if this fight happens in the land. Now we're going to talk about Alistair Overeem, who was undeniably a great fighter, but his last performance simply wasn't up to par. He caught Miocic early on, but was unable to finish him. It looked like he was gassing out, and he retreated into a corner, and from there it was all downhill. I want to see the Reem take on Josh Barnett. They are both Pride legends, and they've never fought each other, which is surprising for Pride legends. They could easily sell out a huge show in Japan, potentially in the Saitama Arena, and the winner could definitely be right back in the mix for a title shot. Fabricio Werdum put on a show in the first round with some flashy kicks, and he really did make Travis Browne look foolish. Unfortunately, the fight stalled big time in the second and third rounds. People simply aren't interested in seeing him fight Miocic again at the moment. Junior Dos Santos is the very best matchup the UFC can come up with for Werdum. The winner would definitely be the number one contender after Velasquez, and most importantly, Cigano KO'd Werdum out of the UFC in 2008. Cavallo could try to avenge his biggest loss of his career and earn a title shot in the process. Uriah the California Kid had one of the most disappointing performances of his career. He was completely shut down and even landed a brutal eye poke. He's done so much that it's hard to decide what's next for the California Kid. The big money fight is the only one that truly makes sense for Uriah Faber at this moment. That would mean that he has to fight his former apprentice TJ Dillashaw. Considering Faber's career is coming to an end, one last mega payday probably would be a very good move. Now we're going to talk about Mickey Gall, who did everything right at UFC 203. He destroyed CM Punk with ease and called out a big name prospect in Sage Northcutt. It appears that Super Sage is going to be out for a while with a staph infection, so it won't be happening at UFC 205. It could still happen though, and the UFC would be very wise to make this fight happen because, two rising prospects, two guys that have a lot of momentum behind them, and the winner could definitely boost forward, and the loser wouldn't really lose a whole lot. Now, CM Punk isn't going to have his next fight in the UFC, or at least so Dana says, but that could all change depending on how much the fight itself, attracted people to buy the card. And Dana White also admitted in the first that CM Punk never should have been there in the first place. For the sake of his health, Punk needs to go to a small organization and work his way up from there. I'm not talking Bellator or World Series of Fighting. I'm talking about an amateur or at the very most, a very low-level pro show. The fall of Travis Browne has been as fast as it has been brutal. He is a shadow of the fighter we used to see under Greg Jackson, and he regularly gets knocked out and desperately needs a drop in competition. He needs to take some time off, and then he could take on the winner of Stefan Struve versus Ruslan Magomedov. That would give him time to recover his brain and then fight a lower standard of opponent. His career needs it, and most importantly, his head and his brain need it desperately. He should definitely change camps right now, too. Jimmy Rivera surprised me by dominating Uriah Faber. I poorly underestimated how good this guy was, and his 19-fight win streak is the second highest in the UFC today, only behind Khabib Nurmagomedov's 23-fight win streak. Depending on how bad his eye injury turns out to be, he could be in the title mix very soon. A great opponent for him would be Rafael Assunção. The Brazilian is coming off of a tough loss to TJ Dillashaw. It would be a very big fight for the bantamweight division and one that Jimmy Rivera thoroughly deserves after that performance. Last off, we have Edmond Tarverdyan, who is, respectfully of course, the biggest joke in MMA today. He has an awful coaching record, and he has single-handedly turned Travis Browne from dangerous contender to absolute pretender. His corner advice is useless, and he appears to have no idea how to actually help his fighters during a fight. Jake Ellenberger finally left his team and knocked out Mount Brown immediately after. It's definitely not a coincidence. He also seems like a bad human being in general. He doesn't get along with anybody, and he seems to pick a fight with just about everybody. The way he instigated a confrontation with Fabricio Werdum in the cage immediately after Werdum beat Travis Browne with, and also Werdum also took a very brutal eye poke himself, shows that the guy has no respect, which is the very trait that martial artists are supposed to have. His fighters should leave his team immediately to save their careers and rid themselves of just a terrible influence. The fact that Ronda Rousey went back to him after he refused to train her makes him the luckiest coach of all time, regardless of what sport you're talking about. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments section down below if you think that Edmond Tarverdyan is the worst coach you've ever seen. That's it for the video. I will see you next time on the Foot and Fist Sports Network.